In this video, we're going to build a reusable Python function to make authenticated requests to the Binance Futures API. We'll follow the official Binance documentation and implement everything step by step. By the end of this video, you'll have a clean function that you can reuse across multiple Binance endpoints. At first, let's import useful modules. You have to insert your API key and secret, or define its path here. Now let's talk about creating the URL to make the request. This is the standard part for all the USDM market. Then you have the HTTP request, and each request has its own parameters that can be mandatory and/or optional. So let's define the base URL to receive the request and parameters. Now we have to create our function that can be adapted to every type of authenticated request. So it can receive any HTTP request, any mandatory or optional parameters, normalize into the correct format, receive the API key and API secret, and create the signature. This function can be divided into some fundamental parts. We can insert a docstring to make this function more user-friendly. At first, we have to join the mandatory with the optional parameters and put them together into a dictionary. Let's create a variable named params that will receive a copy of the mandatory parameters and then the optional parameters. We don't need to insert timestamp because it's calculated inside this function. By advancing to the next step, this is where the signature is created. Your API key and secret are safely used here. Right here, this is where you define the method that can be post, get, put, delete. But before that, we make a string operation to build the full URL. With some if statements, it is possible to choose the right path for the method. Error handling is our next part. This part is mixed with the return part, because when handling errors, if the trying path is successful, the request returns a dict. However, if the request is not correct, it returns an empty result. You can also detect the error and discover the error code and its designation. Let's just clear the mess and normalize decode. What about testing it? Let's try with an example from the documentation. If you go to the Binance API documentation and search for the market USDM REST API, you will find all type of requests that can be done automatically by using the corresponding endpoint of what you want to do. We are testing now the user commission rate on HTTP request. You can check the method which is get for this example and the endpoint for the URL. Then you have the request wait. This is the resource consumption of the API. At last, we have the request parameters. They can be classified as mandatory, and for this example we have symbol and timestamp. Rec window is an optional parameter. If you're asking what it means, it's simply the waiting time to try to launch a successful request. If this time is triggered, the request fails. You don't need to worry with timestamp because our function calculates it. Let's move into our code again. Now we have our endpoint method, requested and optional parameters. On this case, optional params is an empty dict, but we could define the rec window as a parameter of this dictionary. It is time to call our function and check what will happen. To check the result is Ali, let's print it. Here we are. There's the result of the function. It's working properly. Now, you can handle the result the way you want to. Don't forget that the response is a dict. We can thrive with other values. Perfect. Everything is working. One common mistake is using authenticated requests when they are not needed. That can lead to unnecessary errors and rate limit issues. In the next video, I'll explain non-authenticated requests and when you should use each one.